Hello, listeners. We have a very special guest with us today. Christine and I are in the wonderful town of Charlottetown in PEI. We just finished a tour at BioFoodTech with Joy Shinn. Joy, for our listeners who aren't aware, what would you like them to know about BioFoodTech?
Okay, well, we're a technology center. So basically, we're a facility. We have a lot of space, we have a lot of equipment, we have a lot of experienced staff, and a lot of knowledge for Atlantic Canadian food and beverage companies to connect with us and access this so they can either start or scale their business.
Wonderful.
And you guys have many resources on the island, natural resources. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then also high level, and then also how you work with local entrepreneurs?
Sure. I mean, we've definitely seen big changes. I came out here a long time ago. And everything, a lot of the companies we worked with were established companies in seafood or fruit and vegetable processing in that area. But now we're seeing everything. We're seeing trends in food. We're seeing trends in bioscience, a lot of upcycled ingredients, looking at extracting things, valuable things that could be in their things that they're processing anyways. And so that's definitely changed. And even the size of companies, a lot more startups these days. So, they're usually very entrepreneurial and they are sort of on trend with their products. And so I think it's just a good testament to the support that's here in general. And the way we work with them, I mean, our focus is really the technical side. So we do have other folks that help with, finance or funding and marketing and branding, but we're really technical. So it's all about how do we get that product to market, to make it safe, to make it high quality, to meet all the specifications you need. So that's where the facility comes in. So our tagline is concept to pilot to market, and that's what we work with. So we start with prototype development at the concept stage and we validate the formulation. Then we can scale to pilot, and that can help validate the equipment we're using, the process, the efficiency, figure out does the outcome meet the specs, is it good quality, do shelf life studies, things like that. And then we can also do test manufacturing, or companies can actually come here and rent our facility so they can manufacture and sell nationally.
Yeah. Pulling at my heartstrings because typically a lot of facilities are just pilot production and they don't necessarily have the means to scale and commercialize. So you have you're a CFIA inspected facility, you have the license. Those that come here can actually export outside of the island to across nationwide to Canada because you have an SFCR license. And then what's wonderful is you just took us on a tour and you offer so much different types of equipment and processing applications, which I think is wonderful because there's such a breadth of variety of raw material here on PEI.
Yeah.
So many wonderful extension.
And it was awesome to see the equipment and to have team members walk us through and the passion, the level of passion. Like we could definitely be on site for hours going through.
I know.
So yeah, exactly, which is incredible. What should the industry know that's available here for testing? So whether it be equipment or capabilities on site.
Okay, sure. Yeah. We do have quite a big range of equipment. A lot of it is sort of traditional food processing equipment, things that you would need like mixers, choppers, blenders, packaging equipment, steam kettles, and so on. And, the maximum size is generally in the range of 200 to 300 liters. So that works well in Atlantic Canada because a lot of folks, if they're moving outside the province, they're going to maybe Sobeys Atlantic stores or other retailers like that. So it's not Ontario or Quebec type of level, but this works. And we also have a lot of variety in the bioscience side in terms of extraction, drying equipment like spray dryers and freeze dryers, rotary evaporators, and so on, and a lot of experience in those areas. And then sometimes when we're really challenged, we can retrofit equipment and we can, make something different so that it works. And the good thing is we also have similar equipment, so you can look at different types of the same thing, different types of grinders and what's going to work best. And so there's a lot of expertise, a lot of staff that have been here working with industry for many, many years. We've been in business over 35 years, so we have a lot of experience in this equipment and the access to it. In terms of other supports that we provide for companies, we have a fully certified accredited micro lab, so we can do a lot of testing in the laboratory. For a lot of that is for companies' routine testing that they need to do, as well as maybe having export certificates and things like that nature, as well as occasionally troubleshooting if there's problems with some production in terms of microbiology. We don't do a lot of other chemical testing, but we do test for a lot of food safety controls like pH, water activity, and so on. And outside of that, we just have a general, very broad overview of the landscape. If you're in the food industry, we know about regulations, we know about licensing, we know about HACCP, food safety, and things like that to help companies on their way. And similar in bioscience. So companies rent what we call our GMP pilot plants. They're not CFA licensed, and we have applied for an NHP license, and we don't have it just yet, but hopefully coming soon. And that allows them to actually manufacture. So we've had many companies like Kinova, RPS Biologics that are making many products there and shipping internationally.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting that you have an on-site micro lab and that you're able to offer HACCP and, GMP training, or even helping them with their plan for some of these startup companies, because I think food safety is always essential when it comes to this type of commercialization work, right? Sometimes it's a forgotten memory, and then we have to approach it during commercialization. But I'll backtrack up a little bit. I'd love to know a little bit about yourself and your passion. How did you get into this industry?
Well, that's a good question. I wanted to be a teacher when I grew up. And so that was my goal all the time. And then when I got to the point of going to university, there were way too many teachers already in Ontario because I'm the tail end of the baby boomers. So that was out. And so I decided that my second interest was food. So I went into food science. So I went to McGill and I went to Guelph and had degrees there, and it was great. And since then, I have always worked in the food area through my very long 38-year career. And so, I've met some amazing people and, organizations and government folks and others. I did kind of a combination of technical work, like being here, working with companies, developing products, getting them to commercial scale. And then I've also done other positions like working with FoodTech Canada. That was an association of food centers across Canada, and running the Food and Beverage Processors Association for a while. So kind of a mixture, but all around food. And so it's been really a great experience and met really wonderful people. And I think the other part of my job that I've done a lot of is finding solutions for companies, and then not only doing that, but actually sharing that information and teaching them. So sharing information about the processing or about food safety or about labeling, and then seeing them take that on. And so it really satisfies kind of that teaching desire that I had from the beginning. So it's worked out really well.
That's so cool. Thanks for sharing your journey. I'm sure it's such a broad journey and exciting. You got to really still experience the teaching part in your everyday and layer in the food elements as well, which is so incredible. Isn't that funny how it kind of comes full circle around that? Because you're going into different facilities, coaching and teaching. We have a lot of listeners who are perhaps wanting to explore a career in food, whether they're students or working professionals that are planning to do a shift. What would be a piece of advice from your career that you'd like to offer?
Well, that's a great question. I think that the thing I really liked about this job is every day is different. So one day I'm talking about, kimchi, and the next day I'm talking about vegan cheese, and then I'm talking about some extraction, supercritical fluid extraction. And then, so I think if you like to continuously learn and you like to know about things and just continuously get that information, it's a great industry to work in. And there's always changes. And even for very traditional foods, things change, ingredients change, packaging changes, processing changes, more automation. So it's not an industry that stays still at all. And it's understandable, right? People are always looking for new products or new food or new bioscience, natural health products and supplements and things like that. So I think that to me was really interesting. And I think if that's the person, if that's what if you like to do, then it's a great industry to be in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, going back to, you talked about wanting to get an NHP license for the facility. Are there any we're at the tail end of 2025, but are there any other exciting initiatives that's planned for BioFoodTech in 2025 going into 2026? Anything that you can share with our audience?
Well, I think there's, I know they're certainly looking at some of the equipment now, because a lot of this was bought when we opened, almost like over 35 years ago. And it's stainless steel and it lasts for a certain amount of time, but certain things wear out. So that's something, but that would be, and looking forward to what else, is needed today in terms of the processing, like extruders or HPP or things, so that even like capsule making machines and things like that, we do get an NHP license. We'd have the ability to do development trials, but not necessarily to go to commercialization, like and things like that. So these are always things that we're looking at. We do get involved a lot with just like with our partners going to conferences and trade shows, for example, like Food and Beverage Conferences Atlantic. So it's where you meet everybody in the ecosystem, and a lot of others like that. We tend to work with partners that would host things and work with them and support that. And we have been thinking about doing webinars as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Informed of what's happening with changes like in labeling and
that.
things like that.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of partners that do as well. So we want to not duplicate, but yeah. So I mean, just those are some of the things that I think are going to happen. Yeah.
Question on the labeling side. Do you offer nutritional labeling here at the facility?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And label checks?
Yeah.
What about formulations, reformulations, thinking about front of pack initiatives that are, of course, coming up end of the year, but then early 2026? I know there's been that obviously a massive push.
So there's certainly been that for that reason, as well as things like, made in Canada reasons, ingredients from Canadian suppliers, which can sometimes be challenging. I just had a request for somebody wanting to buy pectin, seeing if there was that availability. Yeah, so that's been a motivation as well. And then definitely the front of label and then supplement foods too and things like that people are looking at, and even just cost because everything's gone up, right, in price. And so are there substitutes that aren't going to really have a big impact on quality, and finding those definitely is a piece of that as well.
Great. Okay. So very nice dynamic. Services offered here, which is really great.
This next question I really love because it just gets me fired up because it's one of my favorite ones. So is there anyone that you'd like to shout out to or recognize who helped you along the way in your career journey?
Yeah. Okay. I've met like some really amazing people in my career and so impressed, right? And just seeing how folks work and things like that. What I thought was very interesting and very, very great was I wanted to work part-time when I had younger children. Yeah. I took a break from BioFoodTech at the time, and then I went to work with PI Preserve Company, and Bruce McNaughton was the owner at the time that I worked there for a little bit. And I was so impressed by how respectful he was of his staff, where he would defer to them and say, well, you know more about this than I do. This is your job, right? And very respectful. And even me coming in newish to him, we did a little work at BioFoodTech. He just trusted me and respected me and said, do whatever you think is necessary. So I was helping a little bit with their food safety and also product development. So I was just really super supportive. I remember we had some new sanitation regime, and we did some micro testing, and results were really good. And he gave everybody a $100 gift card at the time. This is 25 years ago, but that was a big deal. I mean, so it was really interesting to see to work, because I hadn't really worked a lot in private business, not in PEI at the time, and so working more with organizations. And so it was really nice to see that and see how that operated. And I think also it's not specifically a person, but when I transitioned into business development, I was handling client inquiries for a number of years. So I had over 170 every year for about 6 years. Wow. So I had a lot of engagement with clients, but I loved it because I like to find solutions. So I did work very hard to try to understand what they needed. And sometimes that's challenging, especially if they're startups and they don't know what to ask or, not sure. And so being respectful of not coming up with things that they don't need, that would waste their time, waste their money and things like that. So worked very hard in that area. And also just sharing general information or connecting them to other players in the ecosystem, like Food Island Partnership and so on. I got a lot of thanks and recognition for doing that. And that just, that was really nice to just feel like, okay, I must be doing the right thing here, right? And just being helpful in that was really a nice experience as well.
Oh, well, 2 shout outs there. I think that's really interesting. And for the first example, just mentioned the leadership and within the organization that you're with, a PI Preserve Company, correct? Yeah. Around you're the expert, that autonomy, the ability to really own that role. I think that's huge. That's something that I think a lot of us, love in leadership and can thrive, especially when that comes to play. So thank you so much for sharing that. And this is more of I'm thinking about this question in particular. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. Perfect. So,
sorry, we should have
prepped you, but we'll give you a moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So this, of course, is a tradition on our podcast where we have a question from a previous guest, and then they pass it on, not knowing who the next guest is. Okay. So for yourself, this question's coming in from Nithya from Food in Canada. And Nithya's question, and it could go a couple different ways, which will be interesting, is what is your deepest heartfelt desire?
It can be personal, it can be business. She said,
What's my deepest
heartfelt desire.
Geez, that's like,
I know.
I could wave a magic wand and get one thing. What would you want? Yeah. Oh, that's tough. Oh my goodness. Okay. Maybe think I could answer that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I do think these are very challenging times around the world. We're fortunate, maybe not so much, although there's some issues in Canada now, but I have 2 daughters and a new granddaughter. And so I just, I feel that, a lot of younger folks in, Gen Z and Alpha are, really, really concerned about what's going on in the world. And I think though also, from what I see and hear, that a lot of folks have a lot of great ideas and great solutions of how we can be better people and how we treat each other and treat our world and our and environment and everything like that. So I know we were sort of joking when we said to our daughters, you're going to have to solve the problems, right? We're just too dumb. We can't do it. But I really think I feel really positive about the generations coming up now that they're going to make a big impact. I know some are still maybe on the younger side, but at some point getting involved, if it's politics or other things, that these folks are going to be able to do better than what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Love that.
Bigger picture desire for the world.
And I'm retiring in 2
And
weeks. I've been so blessed to
Amazing.
have so many great clients, so many,
Yeah.
and just it's been such a great ride. So I have no regrets at all. But it's just time, and yeah, I probably did a little bit of work, but yeah,
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on the upcoming and planning for that. I think
Yeah. Now it's your turn to ask our next guest, without knowing who it is, a question.
Okay, I had a question. What do you see as the next big change in the food sector that may be just starting now or building that would have a positive effect on the industry?
Yes, thank you so much.
It's a joy to connect and to learn more about the center and all the incredible work and offerings for the community on the island and off the island, and to learn more about your journey in the food industry and also where to next. So lots of exciting things on the horizon. Thank you so much. So grateful for this time together.
Likewise. Thank you guys very much. It was really great to meet you and to have this opportunity to share what we do. And I know there's a lot of other great centers and folks that work in the space and do similar things across the country. And I just think this is, it's so supportive of the industry in general. So I'm happy. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much.